Alright, so I rode Verbolten 7 times today. Or was it 6? I don't know. 6 or 7, definitely, but... Alright, let's talk about it. So, if you're someone who, got scarred for life by... Well, not scarred for life, but you got mildly traumatized by Verbolten when you were a little kid like me, and then you're concerned about riding it again, here's what you need to know in that perspective. So... it's not gonna feel the same as you remembered it at all. If anything, it's gonna feel slightly more tame, and you're definitely gonna handle it more. The layout, it's more up and downy than I thought it would be. Like from the images I saw on it and like all like the POV videos, I remember it being like more flat and more speed and turny and stuff, but no, this one is about going up and down and turny. And there isn't actually that much speed in Verbolten, if I'm being honest. Like, I always hear about how, like, that first launch that you go in, like, puts you in the back of your seat. For me, it didn't really do that. It kind of just, like, it was like a mild speed up into the building, and honestly didn't feel that much faster than Dark Coaster at all. Or at all. Feels about the same speed. And that helix that's in there, I learned that the feeling of graying out isn't anything like blacking out or anything, or some, like, ungodly awful thing happening to your body. What graying out actually is really just the feeling of you, like, early in the morning standing up, and then you feel all fuzzy and woozy and stuff. That's pretty much exactly what it is at worst. But, like, there is a 50% chance that'll happen to you. There are 50% chance you'll be, like, entirely, like, fine for the whole thing. But that woozy feeling does feel kind of cool, I'll say that. Like, it's like the feeling that feels like you're, like, on the route to passing out, but you actually never pass out or anything like that. And now let's talk about the, if you don't like spoilers, I recommend clicking off the video now, but, like, there's a drop track on this ride, and it's not as tall or as high as I thought it would be. I remember it being, like a really fast drop and a really high, like, thing, but when the track drops, it feels like the equivalent of being shocked by electricity, kind of. Same could be said for that helix. Like, it gives you this shock feeling, kind of. Alright, now that's like the most important bits I just wanted to say out of the way. Now I'm going to talk about the whole experience of how I was feeling when riding Verbolten again. So, when we were in the queue, I was nervous as shit, and we got the red car, and we were in row 5. It was a pretty cold February 3rd day of 2024. And this was today as I'm recording it. It's like late at night right now. And we got on it. I was scared. I was just holding onto the bar for dear life. And we were cruising out. And there was like a break. There was like a smile break section like before the actual layout starts. And I was expecting we would have to wait there for a moment, but we actually didn't. We just went straight into it. So we dipped down to the left, and it was a steeper, like, slope than I remember it being. Like, that turn is steeper than it looks. And then you go in this, like, straight track section, and this is still the nice and chill part. You're still on the Autobahn. And then you turn to the right, and I was prepared for, like, the worst. I was, like, holding on to that thing for dear life. And before getting on Verbolten, I knew exactly what the layout was and everything that happens, including the drop track, so I kind of spoiled myself, but, well, I rode this when I was 7, so there was nothing to spoil. This is the ride that traumatized me when I was 7, and I never got on it again, thinking it was a kiddie ride when it's really not exactly a kiddie ride, but barely. I wouldn't say it's a family coaster, yeah. So, I was preparing for the biggest, like, speed punch there was, and I was actually mildly shocked in my head when I was on that launch, because I was like, wait, why isn't it not that fast as I expected it to be? And then I see, like, and then we see the, like, flickering leaves and stuff that hang overhead. And then we go down the hill, and then I could see part of the layout, and I was like, oh, this is a lot more taller than I remember it being. I'm not afraid of heights or anything, I just don't remember it being that, that cartoony looking. Like, the layout itself looks very cartoony when you're riding it in person, but from, like, POV videos, it looks more frightening, if that makes sense. Like, from the videos, when you're actually on the ride, the track looks goofy, but when you're watching a POV video of it, because of the way the camera is and how it, like, shows the world and stuff, it looks more serious looking, if that makes sense. So, Verbolten is a goofy ride, technically. And then, it pretty much is a goofy ride, if you really think about it, but yeah. You dip down to the right, and there's actually a little slight, like, you're probably not even gonna notice it, but there is a very slight floater stomach feeling, in your stomach. It's the same feeling you get when you're driving down the hill really fast in a car or something like that, and you get that stomach feeling. And then there's actually a great amount of G-force on that first right turn in the building that I did not expect. And then there's the helix, which I was expecting, and I was preparing to, like, hold my breath and everything. I even, like, tensed myself up to, like, keep the blood on my head so I could, like, stay conscious or whatever. And I think it made it worse, because I felt like I was gonna pass out when we reached that next brake run, but, like, we finished that first right turn in the show building. Then we went on the helix. I felt the sensation of graying out. It's not, like, graying out, I promise you, is nowhere near as intense as it sounds like it is. What graying out actually is pretty much just the feeling of you, like, waking up early in the morning and you suddenly stand up. And then your vision goes all fuzzy and you see all these, like, colorful auras and stuff, you know what I mean? It's pretty much that exact same feeling, mixed with a bit of, like, an electric shock kind of feeling. I don't know how to describe it. It feels like the aftermath of a giant wave throughout the body of a static electricity kind of thing. And then you just pause there at the brake run. There used to be, like, more decorations there, but because of some complications, they took out the decorations a few years ago, so that's a shame, but it is what it is. Maybe they'll add them back someday, but who knows. Then you dip down again to the left, and there's actually quite, like, a slight bit of airtime, but, like, not. Basically, like, there's no airtime worth mentioning here, but if you want to get to the specifics, it feels like you're in a car, like, going down the hill at a somewhat fast speed again when you get that stomach drop feeling. You don't really lift out of your seat or anything like that, but you do feel like a very brief weightlessness when you're going off of that brake run down to the left turn that goes down and up into where the drop track is. So me and Dad actually got the Spirit theme the first time, and we crusted onto the brakes. We saw those, like, flare hand things, those, like, magenta purple lightning looking ass things or whatever, and we actually stopped there for a good minute before we pulled up very slightly, and I was prepared for that drop track. I was, like, holding on to the bar for dear life. I was like, oh shit, here we go. And while I was on there, I recalled what I just went through, and I was like, okay, Verbolten actually isn't as bad as I thought. Maybe even too boring for me. So we were going through that drop track section, then we stopped, and you can actually see the Mother Nature spirit ghost's face, like, in the dark when it's not lit up, because of the black lights. It's like this, like, blue looking thing. I'm not sure if it's, like, a projection screen or, like, a light on the inside of that glass. I don't even know what that face is, but yeah. And also, if you look straight up, you can see, like, a bunch of black lights and everything. There's a bunch of leaves up there and everything. And then the drop track happened. Uh, mediocre. It gives you a sense of shock for like half a second, but then it's over. And it feels like the drop track feels a lot more intense when you're actually expecting it and actively holding on for dear life, and rather than just like being chill and letting it fall with you. If you're just chill and just patiently waiting for the drop track to happen, it's not nearly as intense as you actively trying to figure out when it's gonna drop and holding on for dear life for some reason. And then you crest over like you see the outside now, but you're still on the drop track after it's already fallen. And the drop, it doesn't go that far at all, if I'm being honest. Like, unlike most people say, it really doesn't go that far at all. Like, when you hear, like, something drops about, this drop is, like, 15 or 18 feet, it looks like 5 or 10 feet, if I'm being honest. It's kind of underwhelming. Like, it mildly left me disappointed, but not really, but, whatever. I'm just giving you my honest thoughts about Verbolten. I'm being critically honest. And, like, this is coming from someone who's had traumatization from this ride when I was 7, who's just now starting to ride it again. It feels nothing like how it was before. Probably because I was a smaller child then, but, yeah. Then you, crest over a little mini hill, and, I'll talk about this section, here after I finish the layout about a thing that happened later on my 4th run, I think, on this ride, maybe my 3rd. Then you zoom out in the building. The launch isn't really intense at all, but you do get a sense of wind. The track is a little bit shaky, but who cares? You don't even notice the rattling because you're having a fun time anyway. Then you get up to that S curve. You go to the right and then to the left. You may or may not, you most likely won't, but like, if you're on the left side of the seat, you might feel a slight, like, gravitational pull pulling your body slightly to the left a bit and not forced down to where the seat is, because the turn is a bit not banked enough. Or, no, it's overbanked. It's overbanked than what it should have been, just by, like, 1 degree. So then you get up to the shed. We're waiting there for, like, longer than I thought we would, like, a good, like, 15 seconds. And then you plummet down, and the drop, it's just a drop. It's nothing worth mentioning. It's not even bad. Nothing thrilling happens at that drop, unless if you're in the back row. Then you, make a very violent turn to the left. And then an extremely violent turn to the right. And then you go over this bunny hill, which gives you absolutely no airtime, unlike what most people say. Then you go through a somewhat violent turn to the left. And then this is a very underrated, this is probably my top 5 favorite elements of Verbolten that's happening next, and literally no one talks about it. The final brakes. That thing stops you. Like, it literally sends your body flying forward. Like the train literally just stops, like, at those brakes. Like, it feels like you're getting flung forward a little bit in place, if that makes sense. Like, those brakes are underrated. No one talks about that area enough. Then you're waiting there for a minute or two, and then you get off the ride, and that's it. Okay, now, something to say about that, what happens after the drop track and you're about to go on that second launch. If you're in the back row, I remember seeing this, like, other review, saying that if you're in the back row, it's recommended you have your head fully pressed, like, firmly pressed against, like, the headrest, because, like, it'll whip you over that hill, that mini dip that goes into the launch. I didn't do that, because I wasn't thinking about the video at the time, or, like, our review videos. I was just in the moment of Verbolten. which I think is the way you should ride it. I don't think you should like have to review Verbolten before you actually ride it. But like but the way it felt was different than how this guy described it. This guy described it as you're being flung over that hill into the second launch that leads you out of the building and onto the bridge. No, that's not what it feels like. What this last back car feels like when you're leaving the drop track, it feels like you're being aggressively shaken by a robot. What I mean by that is, after the drop track, when, you know that little dip that goes to the outside world, there's that second track, well, second launch track. When, like, the front row hits the launch, you're still on the top of that. You're still partly on the drop track if you're in the back row, when the first row is, like, on the beginning of the launch. You immediately stop for a brief second, and then you go down and at a very fast pace, and then you stop again, which causes this jerk feeling in your body to like rock your body forcefully back and forth, slamming against the headrest, and then like flying your face down to the flooring, and then it launches you at an aggressive amount of speed. Well, not speed, but like it flies you back to your seat again. I hope that explained that enough. I hope that makes sense. It's basically what the back row feels like. It's not like an ejector airtime moment. What it is like a rapid jerking, like a rapid rocking back and forth for like half a second. Yeah, Verbolten was crazy. I am still in shock that I just did that. Holy crap. Keep in mind, if I offended any other coaster enthusiasts here, just remember that this is my opinion, okay? So don't get mad at me for having an opinion. This isn't Twitter. This is YouTube, so we all have to respect each other's opinions. Verbolten could have been better, but I think part of that is my skill issue, because I'm the one who was actively all these years analyzing everything about this ride. Like, literally everything. So I think I'm the reason why it's less fun for me. But it is fun nonetheless. If I had to rate it on an intensity scale, I would say it does pass as a family coaster. I would say it's tame enough to be a family coaster. But I wouldn't say it's the most intense family coaster that exists. But it is definitely an intense family coaster. So, yeah, that's all I gotta say. And, oh, and also, I rode Apollo's Chariot today, too. And, that thing is not at all any more intense than Verbolten whatsoever. And also, there's only, like, 3 times where you're given mild airtime in the background, that's it. So, yeah, bye-bye.